Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Tremendo here. I hope you're all doing well. Today, I actually want to talk about a pretty important topic when it comes to fighting games, especially if you're trying to get into the FGC on a more competitive side. And it's your input device. It's your controller, right? You want to know what controller you're using, obviously, and how that benefits you and your play style the most. And we're going to talk about the pros and the cons of each type of controller and input device. But plain and simple, this is a pretty important decision if you're looking to get into this a little bit more competitive, right? So we're gonna start out with our first normal ones, right? And it's your regular controllers. It's the ones that come with whatever system that you have, PlayStation, Xbox. It has all the buttons and functionality that you need to play a fighting game successfully, right? Now you could, all your punches, all your kicks, your motions, you can use the analog, which I don't know why, but you can use a D-pad as well. And don't count out controllers just because, they come with your console or whatever. You don't think that you could play said fighting game at a higher level. You can. So for example, Street Fighter 6, a lot of the pro players are controller players, right? You have Idom plays on controller. That's a Capcom Cup freaking champion. You have Punk plays on controller. He's like an Evo champion or something like that. Mena, CEO champion, two-time Capcom Cup champion, I believe. Bro, all these people play on controllers and they play phenomenally. So playing on a controller doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to execute things well or anything like that. And there's also an advantage to having a controller when you're playing Street Fighter 6 in particularly. And we'll get to that. We'll get to that shortly. But yeah, so that's controllers. That's your first option. The second option I actually don't have anymore, but it's a pad. So essentially what it'll look like is it'll look just like a controller, but on the top, your RB and your LB will be up here where the X, Y, B, and A buttons are. So you'll have 6 buttons on the side instead of your regular 4, which will replace your hard punch and your heavy punch and your heavy kick, essentially. And you'll still have your triggers for all 3 punches, all 3 kicks, and everything like that. So that right there is for other players that want to use a controller, but they don't want to use their classic controller. They want to use something more geared towards just fighting games. And then they have that. Some of them, they play it like this, very tactile. Others, they just play it like regular. But that's another option if you're looking to use like a pad or a controller, right? Next up, which is obviously the most normal one, I would say, that everybody really knows about, is your regular arcade style arcade stick, right? So your big boys, right? So arcade style, it has the joystick for movement. It has your buttons, your standard 8 buttons. This is a Vuelich style Madcast TE3. Great stick, feels good. When you're fighting, you're landing your combos, you're executing. It feels great. However, if you're going from a pad to a stick, there's a huge learning curve there, right? Because you're not used to having all your buttons just on top, and you're not used to just having your hand float above these buttons, right? You're used to clearly just having your hand clenched on the controller, hitting your buttons at a finger's notice, but now you have to move your whole hand to hit these buttons, right? Move your whole hand as well as do the motion with your left hand. So it does take some getting used to, but again, once you get it and you practice with it, you'll get it down. Now you will be losing games left and right until you get it down, but I mean it's just a rite of passage. You got to go through it, right? So as I started out on a controller back in 2010 on Super Street Fighter 4, started on a pad. I used to use the analog to do Hadoukens and Shoryukens. A lot of the times things would not come out properly, of course. I had a lot of input error and everything like that, but I wasn't aware of like sticks. I didn't know what the hell an arcade stick was. Luckily, my buddy at the time, he did explain that to me, and he gifted me my first stick. It was the wireless Tekken 6 arcade stick. It was so bad, but I mean, it worked. It worked and it got me used to the stick, so it was great. Another big factor that you gotta take into account when buying a stick is the weight. So typically you're not gonna be playing on a table like this. This stick is gonna be in your lap. And so you wanna have a stick with a good amount of weight to it. That way, when you're doing these inputs and you're moving around vigorously, your stick isn't flying all over the place. It's nice and stable and sturdy, and you can hit your commands, get everything in and out with no problem. There won't be any, obviously any input error, but there won't be you just like sliding all over the place either. So a weight to a stick is a great part. Now the only downside to the weight of the stick is it's heavy, right? Obviously. So if you're traveling with that stick, you're going to tournaments, you're waiting for your turn, you got to sit around with that heavy ass stick. But other than that, man, I mean, the girth, the weight, it's nice. It's a very nice thing to have. Now, the good thing about sticks is that they come in all shapes and sizes, all different types of designs, very highly customizable. You can build your own. It's freaking sick. The TE sticks, I don't know if any of you guys have seen them in the past, but they do have this clamshell design, which allows you to open up the stick and actually modify and change anything. So if you have a button that's dead, you can change it out. It's quick disconnects, put your new button in, you're good to go. If you want to change the gate on your stick, you can do that as well. It also has like little compartment in the inside for like tools, extra buttons, cables, things like that. And then you also got like all this space right here, you know, so it's not bad, but not every stick has this capability, but more sticks definitely do have this capability now. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing to have. So yeah, you got this stick. You have your more traditional big boy sticks, I want to say, like the Hori Real Arcade Pro sticks. These sticks are very well renowned. This is the old one. This is back on the 360, but very well renowned stick, decent weight to it. A lot of people have had it. A lot of people have used it. They've taken it to tournaments. In Japan, this stick was the Vulix, actually, which was a super long one. That one, a lot of people used that and they loved it. So yeah, so you got the Hori Arcade Pros, which they don't really make anymore, not at all actually, but you can still order them. You can find them off eBay or anything like that. But you got those. Another reputable brand, if you don't know, would be Quamba. This right here is their 8-arc Fusion. So it was a PS3, Xbox 360, and PC stick back in the day. Good stick, you know, changed out the buttons. I remember I used to have like one yellow button with all white buttons because my medium punch button just died on me. But yeah, man, good stick. Back in the day, dude, I put a lot of hours, a lot of time on this stick. This stick was my training ground for Street Fighter, you know. But again, it just comes down to personal preference. You don't have to have this. This is just the bigger version of the sticks. You have smaller versions of these sticks, which you can still use, of course. And a lot of them are coming with weight. This one right here is really, really good. I really enjoy this stick, especially if I have a stand. This right here is for, this is the 8-bit dough Xbox edition arcade stick, and it's really nice. It's really nice. The buttons feel great. I actually changed them out. I think they come with all black buttons. Changed them out to just white Sanwa buttons. I don't know if they come with Sanwa buttons by default, so I changed them to white Sanwa buttons, but it feels very, very nice, especially if you're playing on the stand. I've had no input error issues with this stick in particular, but again, that takes some time to get used to the motions and everything like that. So might not be the same for you if you were to switch to a stick after coming from a pad or from whatever. But again, practice. It's not gonna be hard. You could get it done. The only bad side about this stick is it has a little bit of weight to it, but if you're playing with this in your lap at an event, it's gonna be moving around because it's not that heavy. But if you can put it on a stand or on a little table like this, you're golden. So just make sure you know what you're getting into when you're gonna buy a stick and how you're gonna be using that stick if you do go with the stick. Now, you had controllers, fight pads, arcade sticks with levers. What's the next one? Well, the next one is actually very simple. That one is a leverless stick, or the HitBox style of sticks. And those sticks came out, they were first introduced in like what, 2010, 2011, something like that. And they, you know, very, very controversial when they first came out. But the whole thing with the HitBox stick is that it eliminates input error, which is the best thing that you want to do when you're in a tournament. Now, what do I mean by eliminate input error? Well, as you can see, there is no stick. There's no actual lever. This is an all button stick. You have left, down, right, up, and then your regular attack buttons. So there is no stick. There is no possible chance that you can input the error. Input error caused by this because there's no stick, right? So when you're playing, it's almost like just typing on the keyboard. You know, that's what it likes. And I like the way these buttons sound. I don't know if you can hear that. They sound great. They feel great. When you're inputting the command in here, that's ultimate, right? Ultimate. Shoryuken, 2 buttons. Actually, it's a 3-button motion. So forward, back, forward, punch. Forward, back, forward, punch. Forward, back, forward, punch. If you're holding back and forward for charge characters, the software on the game actually fixes it, it corrects it. That way you can't just hold back and move forward and always have a charge if you're playing a charge character, which is good because that can be very gimmicky And that's technically cheating. You can't do that, right? So thankfully, the software of Street Fighter 6 fixes that. I don't know if other games do or not, but Street Fighter does definitely fix it. But this is a very high and highly sought out option for a lot of fighters and players in the FGC because of that. Dude, it's ultra portable, ultra thin. You don't have to worry about this super heavy arcade stick carrying it around. This is more for like playing at home with your friends, maybe playing online, maybe you're going local around a corner or something, but that's it. You don't want to necessarily be walking around with these sticks in your bag hella heavy. But the HitBox, the HitBox, the Snack Box Mini, all of these little tiny form factor leverless sticks with buttons, man. I think this could be the future to go. It's just like, it's almost like your keyboard, your little 60% keyboard that people buy, but instead it's a stick or it's a controller, right? It's just your method of use whenever you're going to play your fighting games. So I don't know. There's just a few things that I think a lot of people should think about, but again, there isn't a difference in any. Now, the pro of a controller is everything is right there. So in Street Fighter 6 especially, this is very important because there's a lot of times where you have to react extremely fast. So let's say your opponent drive impacts you in a corner. You're in burnout, right? Okay, so if you get hit, you're gonna be stunned, and here comes a big damage combo, right? These buttons come in handy, right? So if you're not in burnout or anything like that, and they drive impact you, boom, one button, drive impact back. One button parry, you know? The downside to having a stick or even a box is you have to press those two buttons. So if I want to drive impact, if I'm here, I'm doing something and my opponent all of a sudden just goes and drives impact me, I have to move two fingers, hit the button, drive impact. Or you also have these two buttons on the side that you can like map to whatever. Usually it's all three kicks, all three punches, but you can map it to drive impact, drive parry. The only problem with that is that if you accidentally hit that, then yeah, now you're doing that out of nowhere and here comes a big punish again. So there's a lot of things you have to be aware of, but that's the big advantage of having a controller. Boom, it's almost an instant reaction because it's literally just a muscle movement of your finger and done. This one you have to move physically your whole hand to do it. So if you're in a corner and you're under pressure, now you gotta kind of keep your hand just hovering so that way you can hit it fast enough to react. You don't always want to do that. You kind of just want to be ready. So if that works for you, then you can use a controller. But if you don't have a problem with that, if you have some godlike reactions, go ahead, hit those buttons, do that drive impact, get them back. Big damage combos inbound, you know, and then you got your sticks. You want to have great customability, customizable. If you want that, then you go with a stick, and that's the way to go. So yeah, I just thought I'll share this with you guys today. Nothing too crazy, just my thoughts on all the different types of controllers for playing games and what might benefit you, and something to think about if you're really thinking about getting into the FGC and playing these fighting games a little bit more heavily. So yeah, I'm going to a LAN event hopefully soon. I'm gonna take my HitBox. Now what's gonna suck is that I'm gonna get destroyed, right? Because I don't have a lot of hours using this thing. So it's a lot of things that I don't really know how to do yet. But I am trying to move to the leverless format. I wanna get the Razer Kitsune, I think that's how you say it. I wanna get that, which is the leverless Razer controller. And they have the Chun-Li edition, which looks absolutely beautiful. I love Chun-Li, I wanna play her one day, but we'll see. But I want to switch over to that form factor, so I'm having to put in the hours to getting good with this and just playing real life people and not just training with these combos, because there's a lot of things that you got to get down, which is moving back and forth, blocking, jumping, shimmying, things like that. You have to get that down. So I'm trying to get more comfortable with doing that on these controllers. But yeah, I'll keep you guys posted on that. When I do get the stick, best believe I'm going to show it off. Hopefully I can record a little bit of this LAN event, see how their privacy rules are, and then we go from there, man. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Remember, if you do, like, comment, subscribe. Your boy Tremendo, out of here. Peace.